everybody, Tech Gear Junkie here. I kind of want to go over a pet project of mine, and it's about installing a ham radio in your truck, and more specifically my truck, a 2019 Chevy Colorado. This may be a video for people interested in the ham radio in general, or maybe you just got a brand new 4x4 and you want to go out 4x4 with your buddies, and you've been looking into the best way to communicate with that, and maybe you looked into CBs and decided CBs weren't for you. And you've been looking at ham radio, and for that you'll need to pass and get your technician's license. I won't cover that in that video. There's plenty of online resources for that. Once you do that, it's a relatively easy exam. You can install a radio in your truck. Now, your first impulse may be to get online. Oops, drop my antenna there. And to get a handy talkie like this, or a cheaper one of the Baofengs, and use that for radio communications. And it doesn't really work very well. I've tried it. That's one of the questions on the technician exam. Is the answer basically is the transmission inside your vehicle be 10 to 20 times worse than if your radio is outside, or not the radio, your antenna is outside. So this really isn't going to work. Maybe if you're talking to your buddies and you're four-wheeling and they're really close to you, this might work okay. But at the same time, even if you do get a good connection with them, you're not going to be able to hear very good because the speaker's not that great. And you just have some with a handy talkie in your car, you could drop it, lose it, whatever. So what you want to do is install a radio in your truck. There's all different kinds of vehicles, all different kinds of radios. So here you see my Chevy Colorado here. I have got an antenna mount on it right there. Right now it's got a little cap on there because I just washed it. This right here is what they call an NMO mount. And I always, honestly, even though I've been a ham radio guy for about 2.5 years now, I'd never even heard of an NMO mount. But basically it's like seems to be a very vehicle specific mount for a 2 meter, 70 centimeter type antenna. And the neat thing about it is it's got a little O-ring on the bottom, so it kind of gives it a wetter tight seal, which doesn't make much difference if you're doing a mount like this. But if you're being a little more thorough about it and want to install it on your roof or something and drill a hole, it'll form a watertight seal on there. I didn't want to go that route, so I wanted to be able to install mine basically, pan this around. I wanted to be able to install mine without drilling any holes in the vehicle at all. So what's the best way to do that? Well, I looked online and I found this kit. It's the Paul Larson, I think that's his name, antenna kit. I've already got it installed, but basically it comes with a vehicle specific mount for the Chevy Colorado. Basically you just get a nice little bent piece of metal that mounts to a bolt specifically in my truck, and it's already pre-drilled for an NMO mount type antenna. And they also give you the cable and the connector on the end of the cable if you're so desired. I got the connector, PL259, but I didn't get it installed, and I'll show you why here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and get this trunk open here. So this is what I'm talking about. It is just this little piece of metal right here. And it came pre-made for my truck exactly. So the bends in the metal are made for a Chevy Colorado. It connects to a bolt that's already in the truck. And there's actually even have removed the paint behind this bolt, so it's automatically grounded. This is a solid piece of metal. My only gripe is it looks a little bit ghetto in some places. I might come back and try to put some kind of a fairing or something on it. Anyhow, I've run the antenna cable just around this seal here, and goes right through here. And on a Chevy Colorado, you're gonna have a hard time seeing it here, but back underneath these wires, right in through there, is a rubber grommet that goes right in through the firewall of the vehicle. So all I did was get a shish kebab, wooden shish kebab stick, and just poked 3 holes through it. And that allowed me to get the antenna cable through it, and also my power to the radio. If you look here, this is my battery. I've got the negative lead connected to the negative side, and my positive lead to the radio is right here. And it just goes through it. If I pull this off or not. Because of the Colorado's got some accessory connectors here, I just connected the positive jack right through that. The reason you want to do that versus like going through your cigarette lighter or something is the wiring just isn't rated for it. You know, if you got a 50 to 75 watt radio inside your truck, you don't want to be drawing all that power through your cigarette lighter. You'll probably blow a fuse or even melt the wiring. All right, let's go check out the inside. All right, here we are in the wheel well of the driver's side. Again, this may be difficult to see, but that up underneath the driver's side passenger compartment, you can see the outlet for that grommet, and I've got the positive and negative coming through and the antenna, and they're basically going right into the center console here. And you can't see the wires, which is nice for those ones. Basically, they go through to, it's about the side of the driver's seat here, and then underneath the driver's seat. My radio is underneath the driver's seat. Now, one thing you might want to consider, you might have to pay a little bit more for it. If you're going to do that, it makes your installation much simpler, is get a radio with a detachable face, which is what I've got here. This is the ID-4100. This is great because you have a lot more mounting options. I can take this little head off and put it, you know, anywhere in here. What I ended up doing is putting a little piece of Velcro on top with the 3M tape and another piece of Velcro right here. And I can just attach it just like that. And if I park in a questionable area, dodgy parts of town, I can just take this off, tuck it under the seat and hide it. But it's no fuss, and it doesn't interfere with any of the rest of the dash. I could have tried putting it up here, which I could have put the whole radio up here, but then you'd be stuck out in plain sight. And again, that's not the most secure thing in the world. So that being said, I was able to, I run the connector cable from the head unit back through under the console and then down to the radio itself. And again, the same thing with the handy talkie here, or the handy talkie, the mic. It just does the same thing. It comes with some sticky tape. The ID-4100 came with a sticky mount, and I could just connected it right to my side there. Again, absolutely no holes had to be drilled on this part. All right, let's go check out the back, the final part of the install. This is the only part of my install that's really incomplete. This is the back seat of the truck. One last piece here is my speaker. This is like a clone of a Kenwood speaker. I got it Amazon for, I don't know, $14 or so. The Kenwood one's quite a bit more than that, but this one seems to work pretty good. My initial plan was to try and run the output from my radio straight into the auxiliary jack in my car stereo. And that way I wouldn't need a speaker at all. And that worked, but it had some downsides. One, I got a ground feedback loop, so I had a lot of alternator whine when I was using my stereo. And also the more important one is I couldn't listen to the stereo music and my radio at the same time. It was one or the other. It didn't really dawn on me how much that would be a problem until I tried using it, because I like to listen to tunes and then, you know, have the radio chirp on. I can turn the radio down and listen to what's going on. So here's this speaker in here. And the way I mounted it was simply enough with just Velcro. Again, there's no drilling or anything required. I've got Velcro stickies right on there, and it just attaches real simple to this speaker. And this placement right here behind the driver's seat and angled up a little bit, that works just fantastic. The wire kind of runs here and then underneath the floor mat to my actual radio, which is mounted underneath the driver's seat. Not really mounted right now, it's just kind of sitting here, but you can see the connector for the PL259 here. And as the reason I got it disconnected is I needed to be able to get it through the firewall. So I didn't want to have this piece mounted onto the cable when I was trying to push it through the firewall. So I just soldered and connected this guy later on after the fact. Also back here, you can't see it, but the speaker connection is in here. On the front side of the radio, we got the connector for the hand mic and the head unit. Now the speaker for the hand mic, the cord wasn't long enough to reach all the way up to the front, so I got an extension cable. For the ID-4100a, you could actually use regular networking cable. It's the same wiring will work. That didn't look too great. I did that as a short-term work connection, but hey man, I eventually ordered one that was a little better looking with some strain relief. Anyhow, here's the radio just all tucked up underneath the driver's seat. I've ordered a mount for it to get it up and out of the way of the floor heater vents which are under there. Not a problem right now in the summertime, but in the winter you don't want to be blocking those heater vents because one, it just makes your heater not as effective, and two, it could actually get your radio a bit too hot. All right, let's go see how it all works. First things first, I should really put my antenna on. That would help. This is the antenna I ordered, and I was actually miscalculated how small it was going to be. It's the Comet SBB1. It's a dual band antenna, 2 meters, 70 centimeters. And the reason I wanted a short one is I need to be able to pull into my garage and specifically get under this height right here, which is not very tall. So, you know, a 5/8 wave isn't going to do it. I'd be whacking it every time I pulled into my garage. So maybe I'll get a little bit longer one. This one's pretty short, but that said, I really had no problem hitting any of the repeaters with this antenna. And if you're up 4x4 with your buddies, this may be just a better antenna anyway because it's got a lot of clearance. It's small. You're not going to get whacked by bushes and brushes and all that kind of jazz. Alright. One other nice thing about running the radio straight into the battery versus cigarette lighter is I can turn it on at any time. That being said, if you do that, you might want to enable the auto off feature on your radio so you don't accidentally leave it on when you leave the vehicle and run your battery down. So the ID-41a is a D-Star 2 meter 70 centimeter radio. I used to have this as my base station rig. It's also got GPS, which is nice, so if I'm keying up through D-Star repeaters, it can track my location. For a radio check here to our local repeater, see how things are working. This is KG5OCW, looking for a radio check.
KG5OCW, KG5OH, you are loud and clear.
KD5OH, thank you very much. A radio install in the truck here, just checking out, making sure the antenna, everything's working, and making a video for posterity. I'm over here next to Altura Park, lunch break, and just checking into the Megalink and making sure things are working okay.
Yes, it sounds real good. We're actually on I-25 northbound down north of Socorro, south of Albuquerque quite a bit, working in the mountains. So anyway, you sound really good over this way. Good deal.
But the radio works great, and it's a clean install. I'm happy with it. The last thing I need to do is just get that radio permanently mounted underneath the seat, but it works great. Anyhow, if you're so inclined, you have any questions, just give me a holler. This is a Tech Gear Junkie. You can leave questions and stuff in the comments below. Kilo Golf 5, Oscar Charlie Whiskey. Thanks for watching.